Miss Mattie Merrywinkle, Chapter 11, Zoom. That was Marigold's solution to Mattie's isolation. We could Zoom, have a virtual coffee together one morning, or share a glass of wine before dinner one evening, she wrote in an email. It would be lovely to see what you look like. Oh, me giddy aunt, thought Mattie when she read it. There were so many potential pitfalls in that one statement. She'd heard of Zoom and virtual this and that. After all, everybody was doing it these days. But she hadn't got a clue as to how to go about it. And the prospect of Marigold being able to see not just what Mattie looked like, but what Mattie's house looked like, filled her with dread. Especially now that she knew how Marigold lived. Having been brought up in Kent, her daughter wouldn't be familiar with the street names that denoted the seedier areas of Manchester. Mattie's written address, Balmoral Close, would have given no clue as to the truly bleak surroundings. As if that wasn't enough to worry about, the reference to having a glass of wine before dinner made Mattie aware of just how wide a gap there was between their two worlds. Mattie never drank wine. She and Winnie sometimes had a small glass of sherry from a bottle that Winnie had won in a church raffle, but that was only on very special occasions. And the word dinner, followed by the word evening. Well, Mattie's last meal of the day was her tea, and it was usually something along the lines of a boiled egg and toast soldiers or a baked potato with cheese. I'm sorry, Marigold. I don't know how to do Zoom on my computer. How about I send you my phone number and we can chat to each other instead? She replied, after a great deal of deliberation. That's not a problem, Mattie, came the instant reply. I can forward a link. You just have to click on it and off we go. Mattie felt as if she was being coerced into a corner and didn't like the feeling. The link arrived in an email later that day, along with another message. Please forgive me. I should have been more sensitive. It occurred to me that you might be feeling a little bit nervous about something so huge. So I'll leave it up to you to let me know if and when you're ready. Mattie came out of her corner, but she still felt far from ready. She needed to think about it. She thought about it while she was puzzling over her Birds of the British Isles jigsaw. She thought about it while she was fathoming out the complexities of her Fair Isle knitting pattern. She thought about it when she was meant to be concentrating on some television programme. Not difficult, as very few of them exercised what Mattie's hero Hercule Poirot called the little grey cells. And she thought about it while she weeded her pocket handkerchief of a garden. Winnie rang to check whether Mattie needed anything, so Mattie told her about the proposed Zoom session. Winnie loved the computer, though, so she thought it was a great idea. It turned out that's how she'd been keeping in touch with her Susan and the grandchildren over the past few months. Oh, steady easy, Mattie. Once you've tried it, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it. Mattie remained unconvinced, however, and so another day slipped by without her doing anything about it. In the end, her curiosity got the better of her. She really did want to know what this long-lost daughter of hers looked like in the flesh. There had been an emailed photo of Marigold in amongst the collections sent of her house and garden, but her face had been covered by large sunglasses and her head by a floppy hat, so it was impossible to make out her features. And Mattie had to admit that there was no way she was going to be gallivanting off to Kent in the foreseeable future, so she told herself to stop being silly and give it a go. She emailed Marigold. On the day agreed for their Zoom encounter, Mattie set up her computer in the living room. She chose that room because it had the least faded wallpaper. She cleared all the clutter off the settee because that would be in the background and piled it perilously high on the chair in the corner instead. Then she plumped up the cushions. She was wearing her buttercup yellow top and had tied a matching piece of material round her head to keep her locked-down hair out of her eyes. She'd checked her face for traces of egg yolk. What do you reckon, Gerald? Well, I do. But Gerald had taken advantage of the newly cleared settee and recently plumped cushions to make a comfortable bed. so his attention was directed elsewhere. Mattie could see her reflection in the dead computer screen. She looked like a startled rabbit, but didn't know what to do about it, and she'd lost count of the number of times she'd been to the toilet already. Was this really a good idea? Should she just pretend she forgot? Why did the promise of pleasure always have to be accompanied by pain? Come on, you can do this. At the appointed hour, Mattie nervously clicked on the Zoom link.